with my boyfriend and our lovely bed for the night. This is our shelter, and it is pouring rain, as you see in New York City today.
There's a bunch of different types of homelessness. I've experienced every end of the spectrum, every part of homelessness, every type of homelessness. We were not prepared at all.
This is the last time I'm going to make a video answering this comment.
I had a job, he had a job. We lost both of our incomes at once, and that's when we started sleeping in parks. And I was like, okay, we need to get off the streets.
Ces dernières années, le taux de personnes sans-abri à New York a atteint son plus haut niveau depuis la Grande Dépression. Pour Brut, j'ai rencontré Courtney et son mari Britton. C'est un couple sans domicile fixe depuis quelques mois qui a partagé son expérience dans les rues de cette ville.
You got us. We're totally faking being homeless. We're definitely not actually sleeping in a park right now with all of our belongings. All I ask for is compassion and a little bit of understanding or love. Just treat me like a normal human being. That's all we really want. Don't kick us when we're already down. Like, I'm sleeping in a fucking park here, dude. There's no need to be rude to me on TikTok, too.
I'm using my TikTok to kind of raise awareness about the realities of homelessness and addiction and the recovery, like the real life recovery behind it. I want to humanize homeless people.
We slept here for like 2 nights and I was kind of half asleep laying there. And this guy, he comes walking down, and I had been kind of tuning everybody walking out, but he said something to her and I immediately jumped up and he was like, whoa, wait, are you guys a couple? And I was like, what do you want? And he just kept talking, and I was like, what do you want? And eventually he just walked away. Like, I think he was gonna come up and try to attack Courtney. He saw just a girl sitting here, thought she was by herself, and saw an opportunity to attack her. I think that's what he was gonna do.
You know, he looked scared when you sat up. That's why I was so scared.
And I wouldn't let her sleep on the street without me. Just because of stuff like that can happen every day, you know.
I actually remember the first night you guys came in. Like, you guys were a mess that night.
Yeah.
I was crying.
You were crying. And then, like, the next day, Courtney was like, I want to get married. I was like, what do you mean?
Because you need to get a domestic partnership to get into a couple shelter.
And we weren't leaving each other. Like,
yeah,
we
didn't
not
want to leave each other. I wasn't going to let her go into a shelter by herself. It's what we needed to do to get off the street. So we just did it. But yeah, years ago, I mean, when we first met, we were talking about getting married, like, so it wasn't even a big deal. We were like, yeah, okay, let's do it.
It was funny though, because like everyone in the courthouse was there getting married, and the girls were all wearing, you know, like beautiful dresses. They hired photographers and things, and we were there with our bags from the street. I was in like pajamas, yeah, he had on sweatpants. We hadn't showered in like 5 days because we were still living on the street. And we were like, all right, we're here to get married. We stood out really bad.
So, update, we got denied for permanent housing. We were denied from permanent housing again. I woke up to this on our door, and if you don't know what it is, it's the paperwork that we got denied for housing for like the 3rd or 4th time at this point. So, not really surprised because we didn't have the paperwork that we needed for it. I still need like a social security card and a birth certificate, and like we need proof of every residence we've stayed at for the past year. They need to basically confirm or get proof that we were street homeless, like where we were sleeping and where we were eating. We just want to get permanent housing so we can get stable and get jobs and get back on our feet and get out of the system, and they're making it nearly impossible at this point.
Nobody ever stops to think what happened in somebody's life to lead them to this point where this is the only option they have. I was a smart kid. I was reading before I was in kindergarten and I was top of my class. I have a bachelor's degree. You know, I didn't wake up and say, I want to be a junkie, I want to be homeless. I was about 15 years old and my house caught on fire. I ended up losing both of my little sisters. Everything I owned, my entire home, everything was gone overnight. So I went from being a pretty normal teenager to losing everything, my family, everything I knew. And I was technically homeless. I didn't have anywhere to live. After that, I got really bad into addiction. Started off slowly, you know, it got worse and worse and worse. And like most addicts, I've had some experiences with homelessness during that. Trauma, homelessness, and substance abuse, they all go hand in hand, and it's rare to find one without the other because substance abuse and homelessness are an effect of trauma, but then trauma is also an effect of homelessness and substance abuse, so it's just a never-ending cycle. And it's really hard to break that cycle. It's really hard to get out of it, and that's what I'm trying to do really hard right now, is even though I still have some type of instability in housing, I'm in a shelter now, I know that getting sober and trying to get my life back in track and getting out of homelessness, and then eventually I'll be able to heal that trauma and to leave all of this in the past and break this cycle and maybe live like a normal life. That's my goal right now. That's what I'm hoping for.
My mom picked me out. I live in New York, you feel me? I was crashed at my friend's house, but eventually I was like, you know, this is not life for me, so like I saved up a little bit of money and I was able to like rent a room. But it's just dope to let people know that circumstantially speaking, there's a lot of different ways that can lead to homelessness. It doesn't necessarily mean you messed up in life, you know what I'm saying? So by all means, my G, you know, keep pushing on, and I wish y'all nothing but the best, you know what I mean? It's a pleasure meeting you.
And it's not as simple as just get a job and get an apartment. If it was, the homeless crisis would be solved in America by now.
This is the last time I'm going to make a video answering this comment because I get it nonstop all day. You need shelter to get a job. You cannot get a job unless you have a place to live, like a shower, clothing, all of those. They're required to work most jobs. So obviously right now I'm in the process of getting a job and I apply places every day, so hopefully I'll be working soon. So have you not heard of the housing crisis going on in America right now? Basically a bunch of guys saying they don't understand why I can't just go move in with a guy, or why I can't just go walk on the street and find a guy who's willing to provide for me. It's like, that is the most dangerous fucking thing I've ever heard.
She's fucking married.
All of the meetings for HRA to get into a shelter are over the phone. If you don't have a phone, you cannot stay in a shelter. Job applications and calling for a job, how am I gonna get one without a phone? Also, there are free government phone programs where they actually give out smartphones to people who cannot afford one and pay the data plan. I don't know why you guys think just because I'm homeless, I am not allowed to have absolutely any belongings. Like, I'm gonna sell my phone for $80 and buy a house with it.
All the people commenting hate on my videos, they never think it could happen to them either.
You use this app to find outlets. We're gonna go to this one right now. There's a bathroom there too, so this was a good one.
They try to make it seem like we did something wrong or we deserve to be homeless, because if they think that way, they think that it can't happen to them because they don't deserve it, and that's their way of feeling safe. In the past few years, I've definitely struggled with opiates more than anything else. I was really into benzos, I was really into Xanax, Klonopin, all of that, and it eventually progressed into heroin and fentanyl and all of that. And now that I'm sober, this is why I'm on methadone. It's mostly for opiates. Yeah. Do you have to call anyone? Methadone works against cravings and the sickness symptoms and the withdrawals and everything. That's why it's really beneficial. It's really hard to stay sober. It's hard enough to stay sober in early recovery no matter what. So struggling with housing instability makes it even harder. I want to make it through these first few months and feel back on my feet, you know, like be working a job, have a routine, be more secure in housing, and then I'll feel more ready to taper off of the methadone and get back to a more normal life. Right now, I think I'm not ready yet. But this is my new bottle. And it's filled with orange selfish juice. The old methadone used to be orange, but the new ones that we get are white, and they just fill it with orange juice so it tastes better.
You usually take it here or back at the shelter?
Nope, I take it tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So I just drank mine for the day. You have to do it in front of them. And then they give you this for tomorrow. And yeah, if you sell it or drink it, you don't have anything for the next day. So that's why most people choose to keep it. Because otherwise you can get sick. I choose to keep mine. So we just got the phone call and we got approved for long-term housing. Well, a long-term shelter. It's not actual housing. And I'm nervous because we're going to a completely different community, completely different area. I have no idea what it's going to be like. So just everybody hope it's good for me. Everybody pray for me that it's going to be all right. I'm super nervous. I'm super excited. And I'm kind of sad all at the same time. I'm just a lot of mixed feelings. But I'm really grateful that we got approved. And I was really excited to tell everyone. So there's some good news. Story time of how we met. About 2.5 years ago, I went to rehab for my addiction, and I met him in there. We were literally obsessed with each other after the first day we met. Like, everybody joked around like, oh, rehab romance, like, don't get in a relationship this early in recovery, but we were obsessed with each other since the second we met. We ended up both getting kicked out of the program. Literally right before I finished, it was a 28-day program. I got kicked out around day 25 or 26 for poking his belly button. No fraternizing at all was allowed. It's candid. He's been there for me through everything. Like, I've had some rough times over the past 2 years, and he's been my major support system. He's wanted me to get clean. He tells me how much potential I have. He helps me a lot through everything, and I have one person who's always there for me through no matter what I'm going through, and I know he won't judge me. And it's funny because 2.5 years later, and everybody was like, oh, rehab romance, and we're married and living together and haven't left each other's side since, so maybe we got something right there, I don't know. I am ready to announce my big news. I have a big interview coming up for a job that I really, really want. It's next week. It's something in my field, something that I'm very passionate about, so I'd appreciate if everybody could wish me luck for that. Okay, I think the interview went well. I'm not good at reading social situations, but she did write down my phone number and wrote down all my answers to my questions and everything, and then told me that there is going to be someone calling me back who does second interviews, so pay attention to my phone and check to make sure my number was right. So is that a good sign? I think that's a good sign. I don't know. You guys tell me if that's a good sign. She seemed to really like me. Like, we had good conversation. I don't know if I talk too much. Because I really want them to hire me so bad. Because, like, if I'm gonna get a salaried job, I want it to be there. Yeah. Just, like, explaining how to use Narcan and giving out kits and giving food to homeless people. And did you make the rice?
No, I didn't make it.
Oh, it looks so good. Thank you. I'm eating so fast because it's so good. The only other thing we ate today was when we got the 75-cent pecan roll thing from the bodega for breakfast and coffee. I told you it's so good. That's why I was shoveling it in my face. We still don't have like a stove or a fridge at the new shelter, so you can't really cook, you know, like a nice home-cooked meal. So still to this day, like when we come here, that's the only time we get like a real nice meal, but their food is so good. I just talked to them this morning and I have a second interview.
It's good news. I'm just nervous.
I have to find a good outfit to wear because I don't have any like professional clothes. I've been through a lot in my life that other people would be shocked to hear about, and I don't even like to talk about it because I also feel like homeless people shouldn't have to have this sob story to make you feel like they deserve housing. We're all human beings and we've all been through shit, and we still deserve things like basic rights and housing and respect and food and the chance to live a normal life. When we were walking around here and I had like all of my blankets and we obviously looked dirty, like my hair was unkept and I was just in like a big t-shirt and everybody would be staring at us. Like now, like walking through, you know, nobody looks at you and it's just weird because like I'm still homeless. I just cleaned up better, that's all. My days are definitely still difficult. I'm still worried that I'm not going to get hired or I'm not going to get a job and I'm not going to be able to get any type of income. There's so many things that could happen. Tomorrow I could wake up and they could say, hey, you can't be in the shelter anymore, you're back on the street. I'm not very in control of my life right now and that's scary, but I know it's something that I have to go through if I eventually want to get out of it, so I'm just hoping for the best.
Mon tournage avec Courtney et Britton il y a quelques semaines, ils sont toujours dans un centre d'hébergement dans le Bronx. Courtney n'a toujours pas reçu de nouvelles de sa candidature. En revanche, elle vient de fêter ses 3 mois de sobriété.